I am Brian Rosen. How's everyone doing? Good. Good. How's everyone doing? Thank you. I would think you'd be doing better. We're going to talk about money, and we're going to talk about how to get your brand financed. And we're going to talk about what you look for in a strategic partner. So I'm Brian Rosen. I run a company called InvestBev. InvestBev is roughly about a $500 million private equity firm based in the States. So why partner with a strategic firm? I get calls all the time from people who have got sucked into a private equity deal or a capital deal with a partner that does not understand them. Generally speaking, if your financial partner is not from the industry, they have a hard time understanding the industry. As you talked about earlier, there's the 3-tier experience here. They don't understand why you can't just sell it. There is compliance in the US. There are compliance laws. There are laws about interstate commerce. A partner that is not strategic in nature oftentimes will be a challenging partner. So you want operational expertise in your partnership. When you're out there raising capital and you're looking for a strategic, you want them to be operational. You want them to have industry connections. I can talk about us. I'm not going to do that, but you want a partner that knows the higher ups at Pernod, at Diageo, at Constellation, at ZX Ventures, at all of the big exit portfolio partners. You want someone like that because, for instance, what we do is before we invest in any company, we'll go to the future buyer and we'll say, we're going to look at this whiskey company, this tequila company, this mezcal, this gin. We're going to look at this company. How do you feel about it in your portfolio? If I can add 10,000 cases of depletions to that product, how do you feel about buying that from me? So we're always looking for an exit opportunity before we make an entry opportunity. Strategic direction. You want your partner to understand what depletion allowance is, what sales look like, how do you sell e-commerce, what is the supply chain challenges that frankly occurred during COVID and still exist today. You want someone who understands that can help you support strategic directions. And finally, maximize exit outcomes. What are we really doing this for? There's 2 ways to have a brand in this business. One is you want to be a brand operator, and one you want to be a brand exiter. When we look at a business, in our offices in Chicago, we've got 18 people there, and each one of them handles a different piece of due diligence. But when we look at business, we look at many different things, and I'm going to go through them. Scalable business model. If you have made a drink for yourself, if you're one of those brand makers who says, I made this cream liqueur because I love this cream liqueur, you have an audience of one person. If you say, I make a drink for everyone, you have an audience of, yes, you have an audience for everyone. And that's how you're going to get exit potential. Product market fit. Are you making a vodka where every dollar we spend in investment is $5 in marketing? I have to spend additional to compete on the shelf in vodka. And finally, do you have trajectory growth? Is it bourbon? Is it tequila? Is it mezcal? Those are all trending right now. Or is it something like limoncello or a cream liqueur or an Amaro, which has great exit opportunity, but a much smaller ability to scale? Is your brand scalable? Leadership. When we go invest in a brand, we look at a couple things. And we do this, and your private equity partner or your capital partner may not, but we do indeed do this. We make our founders take personality tests. We make sure that all the interests are aligned between us as the capital partner and them as the founder. Are they easy to work with? Are they easy to manage? Will they take advice and guidance? Now, we're not talking this major sit-down test. It's 5 minutes, but it's designed in such a way where the personality in the room can work with my personality, which isn't always easy, or the team's personality. Because at the end of the day, it's going to get easy, it's going to get hard, it's going to get easy, it's going to get hard. And when the shit hits the fan, you want to know that your partner is with you in the trenches. That's what we look for. We look at your ability as a team to execute. If you've got a history of financial plans, a 3-year plan, a 2-year plan, a 1-year plan, looking in reverse, did you execute on that plan? Do you have a plan? If your plan is simply a revenue number, that's not a plan. If you're simply as I want to be in every state that Southern is in, that's not a plan. Your plan is depletions by state, P&L by state, operational expenses by state. Those are plans. And do you hit them? And if you don't hit them, how do you adjust accordingly? Those are things we look for in our partner. And then commitment. A lot of people get in this business and it's a night job from their day job until it really takes off. But you can't do this thing. You can't be a brand as a hobby. It is a full-time job. It is a grind. You're in the field. You're on airplanes. You're in Airbnbs, and you are kissing babies, hugging frogs, and you are out there trying to sell your brand. Are you committed? And that will be referenced in your numbers, your sales, your depletions, but super important for sure. Transparency and alignment, open communication. We don't ask a ton from our brand partners, but we ask that we get told of bad news early and good news earlier. So we'll find out anyway as we look at the financials. So being as transparent and possible is something we always look for. Alignment on ideals. Your capital partner should meet with you in the fourth quarter and talk about what the next year is going to look like, because we will have to align millions of dollars. Our minimum investment is $1 million. Our maximum investment is roughly $10 million per brand. So if we're going to give out $5, $10, $7 million into your checking account in a wire, we're gonna want to make sure that we are aligned. We're going to want to make sure that your plan mirrors our plan, because what you may not realize or understand or doesn't get discussed so openly is that we have partners too. We have investors. Your capital partners likely have investors. In our situation, we run a US-based registered investment company. So we've got partners that give us money to give you money to get return when we grow you and exit you out. So everyone's got a boss, as they say. So transparency is 100% critical when you pick your strategic partner, and trust, and have enough trust to say bad news is only bad news when you don't share it. When you have bad news and you do share it, it allows your partners to prepare. So just know that. I mean, I feel like my kids don't tell me any bad news ever, and I always get burned by them. But if they tell me the bad news as a parent, I can prepare for the bad news and guide them through whatever situation they're failing. It's no different here. Not that you're my children, because you're not, but that's how we look at it from a capital partnership. We have a fiduciary responsibility to our partners. We have regular reviews. We ask our partners and brands to meet with us once a month on a Zoom call or in person and deliver financials once a month. And we have, and your partner should have too, people on their team that aren't just yes men or yes women. You should expect to be challenged in your capital partner. You should expect someone to ask you hard questions and to offer guidance. When picking a capital partner, if you pick by capital alone, it doesn't always go the right way. You want to pick a strategic. Accountability. We are willing to be accountable if you are willing to be accountable as well. Say, I've overordered. My procurement, I bought too much. During COVID, this is a real thing. I've got too much glass in a warehouse. I ordered too much. And then the other side of COVID, there's not enough drinkers, as we sit here today. These are real things. All we ask, and all your capital partners should ask, is for transparency. That's all. That's it. And accountability. Sustainable growth initiatives. Doing brand activations in the field. Liquid to lips. All critical stuff to grow your brand. And your capital partners should help you with that. But it's not sustainable. If you out here in the audience say, I am the face of the brand is me, you have an unscalable brand. If the juice is the brand, if the marketing is the brand, if the label is the brand, you've got a scalable brand. Does that make sense? Because if it's just, and I'll give you more example. Again, I said earlier, we were retailers way back when, from the 30s. My dad and my dad's dad was the face of the business, the face of the business. The problem with that is we could not really scale the business. We ended up selling to private equity, but we could not scale the business because my father always thought he was the guy they came to see in retail. They're coming to see Fred Rosen. They're coming to see my dad, which is true. Well, then how do we open more stores? How do we do it? If you can't. And we ended up having to sell the business to open more stores, which we did. But if you are the face of your brand, if everyone knows you, whether it's LinkedIn or Instagram or Snap or the others, if you are that constant voice in front of the audience, the consumer will come to expect you. And as you scale, it won't be you. So you want to get this ubiquitousness around your brand so you can scale, because that's what we're going to look for. If it's only about you, then that's going to be a problem. And I have good examples. Siempre Tequila is one of our brands. It used to be about, when they were smaller, the CEO, his name is Alex, he was the guy in every video. Now they're at 50,000 cases. They're distributed in 40 states in the US. I haven't seen the guy on Instagram in 2 years. June Shine Kombucha, cannabis cocktail. These are all national brands without a face to the brand. So again, that's a sustainable growth initiative. And then collaborative decision makings. At least for our firm, InvestBev, we like you to come into Chicago or Miami or New York or wherever we are. Like you to come in, meet with our team, do a one-day planning session, talk about your brand. What are your hopes and dreams for the brand for 1, 3, and 5 years down the road? We will help you collaboratively in decision making. You're not in this alone. Oftentimes as entrepreneurs or brand entrepreneurs, we think we're alone. And I know you showed the iceberg earlier. That could not be more true. You are not in this alone if you pick the right strategic partner, because you can't do it alone. You cannot. More brands fail because the CEO or the brand leader thinks they've got it all figured out, thinks they have all the answers. We kick more people out of our office when a guy says, no offense, I got this, just give me capital. Those guys are never going to get capital because it's a collaborative effort. And I know we're going to do questions in the end, so I'll hold off on that. But that's me on LinkedIn. Thanks, everyone, for your time.